Hari Om. Start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing the Panchadashi, 9th chapter. This is Dhyana Deepam. It's on the meditation, as we said. It's a meditation on the nature of myself as a Brahman that we are going to analyze as Vidyaranya talk about as Samvadi Brahma, an erroneous conclusion, starting erroneous statement, but with the hope that I will reach the goal, and even though it is an erroneous, I will end up with the goal, and that's called Samvadi Brahma. And in reference to that, says I have indirect knowledge, but I can gain complete understanding of I am the Brahman by through Upasana. That's what is being discussed here. So let's read the sloka 20 first. Brahma yajjapi shastreshu pratyekatvenaiva varnitam Pratyekatvenaiva varnitam mahavakyastadapyetad mahavakyastadapyetad durbodhamavicharinaha. So through Shastra I have learned two things. One is everything is nothing but Brahman, and that's called Paroksha Jnanam. And also I have Aparoksha Jnanam. I have learned through scriptures, through Mahavakyas, starting from Prajnanam Brahma. The whole thing is consciousness, and even though I don't see whole thing as a conscious entity, because I see unconscious entities, but scripture says everything is conscious entity. So therefore I have a faith in the scriptures, makes me that this is true, even though I have not seen consciousness everywhere. Just as the scripture says the Vishnu is everywhere, and Vishnu is in the form of that Chaturbhujas, four hands, and this one hand with Vishnu Chakram, all those descriptions. Even though I have not seen it, I have a faith in the scriptures, therefore I do Upasana on that form, and I may end up seeing it even though the Upasana is being done on a idol which is not really Vishnu. So even though it's not Vishnu, I am doing thinking that it is Vishnu, and that's what is Upasana. But still I will realize Vishnu even though it is based on wrong knowledge. That's what essentially is the Samvadi Brahma explaining in the case of using an example. In the same way, he is explaining that I understand through scriptures that Brahman alone is real, and the real is, it is that which does not undergo any change. But I say everything is changing. So there is no Brahman here, because whole world is called Jagat, and Jagat is the world I see. So therefore Jagat means Jayate Gacchate iti Jagat, that which is continuously changing. So is it not real? It is real, but it's changing, therefore it is not absolutely real. Then where is Brahman? Brahman is not here in the world because the world is changing. Logic says if something is changing into something else, there has to be a changeless entity in the changing things. If the changeless entity is also changing, then there has to be another changeless entity which does not undergo change. And that is what essentially law of conservation means. Law of conservation means it is preserved during the change. So changeless entity, the waking world is changing, waking world changing into dream world is changing into deep sleep state again changing back to waking world. So continuously changing, there has to be changeless entity which doesn't undergo any change. Therefore, even though world is changing, there has to be substantive which is changeless. So ring may change into bangle, bangle may change into necklace, but there is a changeless entity, that is gold. Same way, from gold they came, by gold they are sustained, into gold they go back. In the same way, we are also talking about the world from which it came, by which it is sustained, into which it goes back, has to be changeless entity. So even though that is understood that there is a Brahman which is changeless entity as a Paroksha Jnanam, and where can I be? I cannot be separate from Brahman. Why? Brahman means infinite. Brahman should include me also. No, is it only part of the inclusion as some acharyas have defined? It cannot be, because I am of the nature of Sat Chit Ananda. I am also happy, I am also existent, I am also consciousness. And Sat Chit Ananda cannot be two, because Sat has to be infinite, Chit has to be infinite by scriptures, and Ananda has to be infinite. And there is only one can be infinite, and therefore I am Brahman. Even though I understood this statement using Mahavakyas of the Upanishad, understood clearly for many years of Vedantic study, it is clear without any doubt, yet I am not able to recognize that or claim myself I am Brahman. And he says the reason you are not able to do that, as a lot of people have problem, is they understood Vedanta but they don't claim that I am Brahmasmi, and that is due to Durbodham Avicharinaha, because the difficulty is not doing the inquiry. What kind of inquiry? We will discuss that more in the few slokas in the ahead. With that, we'll start with 21. Dehadhyatmatva vibhrantau jagratyam na hatat puman brahmatatvena vijñātum sramate mandadhitvataha together. Dehadhyatmatva vibhrantau jagratyam na hatat punah brahmatvena vijñātum sramate mandadhitvataha. So deha adi atmatva vibhrantau. So because of deha adi, because the body etc., the body, mind, intellect etc., adi atmatva vibhrantau, because of vibhranti, it is the viparita bhranti or vishesha bhranti. A bhranti means a delusion that this is in fact is Atma. So Atmatvam means the selfness is superimposed as though body is I am. And this is vibhranti because this is a strong, deep-rooted understanding that I am the body, I am the mind, and I am the intellect. And that's what is called, what Krishna calls it, Kshetram. Says this whole thing is only field, and knower of the field is different from the field. And that knower is I am. Says the idam shariram kaunteya kshetramitya vidhiyate. So this idam, anything that is idam is pointed out, is kshetram, is a field. and knower of the field is different from the field. So here says, I am the field is a notion. So interesting is, I say first, this is my body, this is my mind, and this is my intellect. At the same time, I go to next step, from mind to I am. This is I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. So therefore, wherever the body is, I am there. That's our, during transactional world, the body is intensely identified. The body having a problem, says, I am having a problem. The body is having a disease, I am having a disease. And this is so intense, it's very difficult to get rid of this intense identification. Even though I may have studied Vedanta in so many years, as soon as my body is having a problem, knee problem, that problem, which obviously will come because of that is the nature of the body. So why do I get a backache? Why do I get a backache? Because I have back. That's why I have backache. So the idea that I am the body is so intense, and it's coming from not only from this birth, it's going after birth. That's how Arjuna has a problem. Arjuna's problem is also our problem. Bhagavad Gita becomes helpful only because his problems are same as our problems. Therefore, the solution should be same. So, why Arjuna has a problem? The Vishada Yoga in the first chapter, Arjuna was crying because he thinks that body is the self. That's what, because the body of Bhishma is Bhishma, body of Dronacharya is Dronacharya, and his body is his body. So body is Arjuna. So body identification is so intense, even though we understand that I am not the body also. When we say this is my body, so I am the owner of the body. Yet my identification is so intense, so deep, life after life I am spending with that. Therefore, this is Dehat Yatmatva Vibhranto, because of the strong identification with the body at first stage, and with the mind at the second level, and with the intellect at the third level. It's called Annamaya Kosha, and then Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. These are like in the temple, we have prakaranas. Prakarana means the outside, and then we go inner sanctum, and then one more sanctum. Like that, before you reach the sanctum sanctorum, there are at least 5 layers you have to go through, 5 doors you have to go through in a conventional temple. Because I have to go through Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha, and inside the sanctum sanctorum only I will find the Lord. So I had to go inward. That's what the Taittiriya Upanishad talks about. Says I had to go drop the Annamaya Kosha, go to Manomaya, Pranamaya Kosha, drop the Pranamaya Kosha. Dropping means what? Dropping means identification that I am the Annamaya. Annamaya means this body which is born of food, sustained by food, goes back into the food. Because our intense identification with the body so much, we cater to the body needs all the time. And that is evident in terms of why we say I am the body. Taking care of body is different from intense identification of body that I am the body. Taking care of the body is, body requires certain proteins, carbohydrates, minerals, water, and there are steps that are required to maintain the body. So there is no problem in that. Body is required for transactions, just as car is required for moving from one place to other place. So taking care of car is not a problem. If there is a problem with the car, you take to car doctor or garage for repair. Yet, I am the car when it becomes, then there is a problem. I have the car, I need the car. Car is a vehicle for me to transact in the world, is separate from I am the car. But it is easy to say that I am not the car, because I can go into my room leaving the car very easily. Whereas I am not the body is so difficult, and this is where the problem comes into picture. Even though I understand in the class that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, all that BMI, I am not, I am that which is enlivens the body, all that I understand. Yet once the class is over, when I go into the world, I am the body so deep. I have to take care of the body, beautify the body, colorless body, all morning to evening. Catering to the needs of the body has become my full time scale also. That's because of the wrong notion that I am the body. I cannot easily drop it. So it says, Dehadi Atmatva Vibhranto. So Vibhranti, this is a delusion that is coming because of identification that I am the body. Atmatvam means I am equal to this body. So that's what this mind or this intellect. That's even subtler identifications. So Deha includes Sthula Sariram, the Sukshma Sariram and Karana Sariram. All Sariras identification. Sariram means Siryate iti Sariram. That which undergoes deterioration, means continuously changing. The body that I have in the child is different from body when I am in the teenager, and the body that I am on the youth, and as I grow up, the body keeps on changing. But I am identifying with the changing body and say, I am this, I am this, I am this. And the problems of the body has become my problems because of intense identifications. So Deha Adi Atmatva Vibhranto. So because of the strong identification that I am the body, I am equal to body, and this he calls it Manda Buddhi, the one who is a Manda Buddhi. Manda Buddhi is the one whose Buddhi is slow. Is essentially a dull-witted person. He calls it a dull-witted person who will only say, I am the body. So if I spend more time in catering to the body needs, body does need certain things to keep it healthy. But if I spend more time than needed, then I am essentially taking the body as I am the body is so intense. And that's what is why you call Manda Buddhi, where I want to sit in the same class all the time without going to the next class. And what is called Manda Buddhi. So Manda Dhitvataha, the one who has a slow. So who has the one here? We're not talking about somebody else. We're talking about ourselves. So whoever or whenever I identify myself with the body intensely more than what is required. This is essentially, this is more than what is required, because body is required to keep it intact. But if I spend more time in catering to the body needs, I don't have time for other things, and that's what is the problem here. So Dehadi Atmatva Vibhranto. So intense identification that I am the body. That body includes the body, physical body, and the mind at the next level, subtle body, and also the causal body, three bodies. So Jagratyam, because either in the waking state I am identifying with the Jagrati, or in the dream state that I am identifying with the body. So in those intense states, or strongly identifying, Jagrat means with the awakening I am identifying that I am the body. Puman, for that Mandabuddhitvataha, that person who has dull wit, who does not use his discriminative intellect, who is not using properly his intelligence. So when I don't differentiate properly, it says you are lacking intelligence. This is what the intelligence is that we are lacking, because we are not able to distinguish I am different from the body, and that distinction is not able to differentiate, and that's why he called Manda Buddhi. Brahma Atmatvena, as I am the Brahman, so Dehatmatvam this is the body, and Brahma Atmatvena Hatat na Vijñatum Sramate. So I am Brahman doesn't immediately sink in. Hatat means immediately. Na Vijñatum Shramet. It does not, Vijñatum does not become my intense knowledge. What is happening? I understood in the Vedanta class that I am Brahman. But as soon as the class is over, I am this body. So because I am the body is so intense, the other knowledge will not immediately replace my wrong notion about my own self. And that's what he says. Because why? Because I am Manda Buddhi. I am not using the intellect properly. That's why I am Manda Buddhi. And that comes because of my strong attachments. Strong attachment to the body to start with, and from then on everything else. Let's read next sloka. Brahma matram suvijñeyam, Brahma matram suvijñeyam, Shraddhalo shastra darshanaha, Shraddhalo shastra darshanaha, Aparokshadvaita buddhihi, Aparokshadvaita buddhihi, Parokshadvaita buddhyanat, Parokshadvaita buddhyanat. Together. Brahma matram suvijñeyam, Shraddhalo shastra darshanaha, Aparokshadvaita buddhihi, Parokshadvaita buddhyanat. So here he said, why is the problem here? He is trying to identify here. Aparokshadvaita buddhihi. Aparoksha means immediate, direct, firm knowledge of Dvaita Buddhi, of the knowledge of duality. Because I see directly by Pratyaksha Pramana, that's called the immediate, he calls it Aparoksha. Aparoksha means Pratyaksha. So by Pratyaksha Pramana, I says, Dvaita Buddhi is there. I am different, he is different, she is different, and food is different, garbage is different, and this is all the time in the waking state and the dream state. So this intense knowledge of the duality in all the states is so intense. So therefore, the knowledge that I am different has to be there in the transactional world. So if I want to sit in the chair, I have to say that I am different from the chair. And without the Dvaita Buddhi, without the understanding that I am different, this is different and he is different, and my bank balance is different, your bank balance is different, his bank balance is different, that's a Dvaita Buddhi. I cannot transact with the world. So I have to transact with the Dvaita Buddhi alone. So therefore, every transaction involves duality. I cannot have Advaita Buddhi in transactional world. Because of that, he says, Brahma the Aparoksha Dvaita Buddhi, the direct, immediate, experiential duality that I see all the time in the waking and the dream world, Aparoksha Dvaita Buddhi, Paroksha Advaita Buddhimatu, whereas the scripture says that there is only Brahman and there is only one, and the Brahman means what? Sajati, Vijati, Swagata Beda, Rahitam. There is no distinctions of any kind. And that's what the scripture says. And what is my experience is? Experience is everything is different. This tree is different from another tree. There is a Sajati Beda. In the tree, I see the branches are different, fruit is different, roots are different. That's called Swagata Veda. And the trees are different from the birds, birds are different from animals, that is called Vijati Veda. So I see all the time Sajati, Vijati, Veda in the transactional world, whereas the scripture says that the Brahman, which is the essence of this universe, does not have any of this kind. No Sajati, no Vijati, no Swagata Vedas. Internal difference of any kind is absent in Brahman. That is a Shastra Pramana, and this is Anubhavam. Anubhavam means experientially I am seeing duality. By Shastra it says it's non-dual, one Brahman. Brahman means infinite, pure, existent consciousness. That alone is Brahman. So Brahman knowledge is coming from Shastra. Experience of duality is coming from my transactional world. Now they look like contradiction, because what scripture says is not what it is. What I am seeing is, that's called Viparita Bhavana, is an obstacle here that being discussed. Viparita Bhavana means what is scripture says and what is my experience seems to be different. But here it says, even though they are different, Brahma matram suvijneyam shraddhaloho shastra darshanaha. So even though aparoksha jnanam, perceptual analysis shows that there are duality, whereas paroksha advaita buddhi, whereas the scripture is teaching me that there is only one, which is Satchidanandam, which is pure existent consciousness, that alone is Brahman, and that is a substratum for the whole universe. So the whole universe is nothing but Brahman only, even though I don't say Brahman, but the scripture says it's nothing but Brahman. But what I see is different from Brahman, because there is experientially the duality, and the scripture says it's non-dual. Therefore says they are contradictory appearance wise, but here says they are not contradictory, because Brahma matram subhigneyam shraddhaloho shastra darshanaha. One who has shastra darshanaha, the one who has a faith in the scripture, what scripture says is right. So scripture says the knowledge, absolute knowledge, and the experientially they are different. The physics says everything is nothing but electrons, protons and neutrons. That's what the physics says. That is Shastra. But experientially, iron is iron, bangle is bangle, gold is gold, and wood is wood, food is food, garbage is garbage. That seems to be a difference, Dvaita. That is called the perceptually differences of Sajati, Vijati, Swagata Vedas. Whereas from science point is everything nothing but electrons, protons and neutrons. Fundamentally it's the same. So even though Shastra says that everything is same, transactionally I am seeing differences. So is there a contradiction? So actually there is no contradiction, because once I understood Shastra correctly, so even though electrons, protons, neutrons are fundamental all over, they appear to be different at the transactional level. So therefore there is no contradiction. Appearance is different from the absolute. That's essentially the statement. Appearance of chair is different from a bangle, garbage is different from a food. That is what my transactional world says. Whereas the science says everything is the same. Everything is nothing but electrons, protons and neutrons. So contradiction is not really there. It's a clear understanding of the state from what reference electrons, protons are same and what reference they are different. So that has to be inquired. So reference is at the transactional world, I am different, you are different, she is different, food is different. I have no problem. One can transact with the duality, But understanding is the Lord pervades everywhere. Even the scripture says everything is Vishnu. So one who pervades Vyapakatvat is Vishnu. And Vishwam is Vishnu. Because Vishwam, Vishnu, Vashatkaraha. So even the Vishnu, Vishwam is also Vishnu. Even though I don't say Vishnu. So is it a contradiction? It's not a contradiction. I have to learn to see Vishnu in and through reality. That's what the knowledge becomes. So here he says there is no contradiction provided Brahma matram suvijneyam. So one can recognize Brahma alone because as the bottom line are called Adhishtanam. Adhishtanam means the essence of the whole universe. We are talking about essence. So scripture talks about essence and suvijneyam Shraddaloho. Shraddaloho means one who has Shraddha. Shraddaloho means one who has the complete faith in the scripture. Scripture means what is Shraddha? Shraddha is Shastrasya Guru Vakyasya Satya Buddhyavadarana. That what Shastra says and what the teacher says is indeed true. That faith had to be there. And we have a faith when physics teacher says that everything is electron, protons or neutrons, even though we are not seeing electrons, protons or neutrons. But that is a faith in the teacher, because what the teacher says is what the physics says. That I understood. If the teacher says something different from physics, then I have a problem. So Guru is the one who points to the scripture. That's what proper teacher. The same way, I had to have a clear understanding of what the scripture says, and therefore scriptural statement of oneness that pervades the entire universe is not contradictory in spite of seeing multiple plurality where there is a Sajati, Vijati, Swagata Vedas. All differences of all kinds are there in the transactional world, yet the Adhishtanam, the substantive or the Adhara for the whole universe, there is no difference of any kind. And that's what is the statement. And those who have a faith in the scriptures, they understand it clearly. That's what is the statement in 22. And he gives an example of the upasana of Vishnu. Aparoksha sila buddhihi, aparoksha sila buddhihi, na paroksha sadam nuded, na paroksha satam nuded, pratimadishu vishnutve, pratimadishu vishnutve, ko va vipratipadyate, ko va vipratipadyate. Together, aparoksha sila buddhihi, na pariksha sadam nuded, pratimadishu vishnutve, ko va vipratipadyate. So here he is giving an example. He says, even though I am seeing directly that Vishnu that we are praising is a wooden Vishnu, or other one is the stainless steel Vishnu or silver Vishnu, like that each Vishnu is being as though separate from that. I am using it at the same time. Aparoksha sila buddhi, this stone is different from the Vishnu. Even though I am seeing it, paroksha sadam nudad, even though the paroksha ishatam nanuted. So indirect knowledge that Vishnu is everywhere and everything is nothing but pervaded by Vishnu, and even though this form is only made up of wood or made up of the gold or silver, I don't lose the fact that Vishnu looks like this. So even though it is a wooden one and obviously unconscious one, but Vishnu is conscious entity and he is a Paramatma, he is everywhere. Even though I understood it, when I am doing upasana, I don't lose sight of that fact, even though I am doing upasana on an idol there. So the ideal behind the idol is kept in mind, even though the idol is only an idol. And that's what he is saying here. Aparoksha sila buddhihi na paroksha sadam nuded, and the Pratimadishu Vishnutve Kova Vipratipadyate. So Paroksha Isatam Nanu Anuted. So indirect knowledge that Vishnu is all over, and it is of the nature of Vishnu that I studied from the Puranas and Shastras, and that does not contradict even though I am doing a upasana on that. Nobody feels that way. Says Vishnutve Kova Vipratipadyate. Nobody says it's a error, it's a wrong, and so on and so forth. He is worshipping an idol which is inert, thinking that it is a Vishnu, but he is not questioning that this how can this be Vishnu? He has no contradiction there, even though because Shastra says like that, and for upasana he is using a means for him to go, and that's what is a essential statement here. So therefore, I should have a complete faith in the scripture's statement. That's what emphasis is. Lack of faith, Shraddha, is a problem. What's the problem? Problem is that the preparation of the mind, Shraddha is part of the 6 aspects that are required. Discipline is required. That is Shraddha and Titiksha and Shamadama, all those things are listed there, is required for the self-realization. Because I do not have sufficient Shraddha, I have enough Shraddha to listen to Vedanta, but not enough to claim myself I am Brahman when Vedanta says so. And that's what is the Ashraddha is a problem. So 24. Ashraddhalora Vishwaso Ashraddhalora Vishwaso Sodaharana Marhati Shraddhalo. One minute. So Shraddhaloreva sarvatra Vaidikeshvadhikaritaha Vaidikeshvadhikarataha together. Ashraddhalora Vishwaso Sodaharana Marhati Shraddhaloreva sarvatra Vaidikeshvadhikarataha. So who is really adhikari, who is really qualified to recognize that I am Brahmasmi? He says, Ashraddhaloho, one who does not have the Shraddha, one does not have the faith in the scriptures. Avishwashaha, the one who does not have the commitment to perform or to go through in the passes. So Avishwasa, to inquire here. So Avishwashaha, lack of commitment and lack of discipline and so on. Udaharanam are an example or examples for they are na arhati, they are not fit for this knowledge. Why? You need Shraddha, and you need because to claim that I am the total, in spite of that apparent experientially I am not feeling that, but understanding wise I know that I am because the scripture says so. That Shraddha is lacking, and those who do not have the Shraddha and do not have the commitment to pursue the knowledge, therefore they are anarhataha. They are not qualified to recognize or qualified for Jivan Mukta. Aharhati. Sarvatra, in all understanding this is required. Sarvatra, in all undertakings. Vaidikeshu, even in the Vedanta Sravanam. Shraddhaloho, only for the people who have the Shraddha. Eva adhikarataha, only they are qualified for this knowledge. So what is required is those who have Shraddha alone is qualified. This in fact, the Krishna says in the 18th chapter of Gita, after sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam praja ahantva sarvapapebhyo mokshaishyami masuchaha, that what they call the Vaishnavites call it as a charama sloka, the last teaching of the Lord. Then he says, you can teach this. If you understand it, you can teach to others this Gita, because I won't be there, but you can teach, since you have learned through Chinmaya Mission and so on. So you can now teach to others. So in that, but don't teach to following people. As I say in the 68, I think, sloka. Idante na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana. Idante na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana. Nacha sushrusave vachyam. Nacha sushrusave vachyam. Nacha mam yobhya. Nacha mam yobhyasuyate. Nacha mam yobhyasuyati. So idam te, you, so Arjuna and whoever listening, te idam shastram, idam Gita Shastram, kadatana, never, to teach who? Atapaskaya, the one who does not have the discipline of the mind, who does not have self-discipline. Apaktaya, who does not have the reverential attitude for the knowledge. Asusrushave, the one who does not want to listen to this properly to this, because to listen is different from hear. One listen means commitment of the mind is required. And Navachyam should not be turned. And also Yaha Mam Abhyasuyati, the one who does not looks at me as in a reverential attitude, and who has a wrong perception of me, means I don't think there is a God, God is this, or God is upper. He has not understood who I am, because Krishna defines himself so many ways. Mahat adamidam sarvam jagad avyaktamurtina. I am in unmanifested form. All beings are in me. So so many ways he has defined. But if I have not understood and then make a wrong comments about what is the nature of the God, to those people who does not have this Shraddha, do not teach this knowledge. And that's what essentially this is. In the next sloka, in the 71 sloka, it says, Shraddhavan anasuyascha srunuyadapi yo naraha. Shraddhavan anasuyascha srunuyadapi yo naraha. Sopi muktaha subham lokan. Sopi muktaha subham lokan. Prapnuya punya karmanat. Prapnuyat punya karmanat. So here says, who will realize it? Only those who are Shraddhavan, who has the faith in this, in the statements as true. Anasuyascha, the one who is the no asuya, no jealousy, that means who is self-contented. Then only you don't have asuya. And Srunuyat saha yaham api mukta, who listens to this, and saha api muktaha, he is the one who can get liberated. Because of what? He says, punya karma prapnuyat moksha muktaha prapnuyat. He is the one who can gain, gets liberated. And because of what? Punya karma. He says, because of merits of many lives. Bahu, see, I forgot the sloka from the. So after many lives, one can realize, because you are accumulating slowly evolving, that's called punya karma. And that's essentially because of the punya karma. Krishna says that who has Shraddha, developed Shraddha, and do not have the jealousies, are self-contented, and has the clear goal in terms of reaching the higher, alone will realize the truth. So what is required is complete Shraddha. So what is the problem here is, I do not have the Shraddha in the scriptural statement when it says Aham Brahmasmi or Tattvamasi. I understand it, but when I am transacting, I am not keeping that knowledge in transactions. And that's where the problem is. We'll come back to this tomorrow when we talk. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.